Pam Bondi walked confidently into the Hillsborough County Courthouse, her heels clicking against the marble floor. The courthouse smelled of old paper and stale coffee, familiar scents from countless legal battles. This case felt different, though. She was facing a powerful corporation accused of fraud, and they had spent a lot of money on their defense. Judge Richard Calloway sat at the front of the courtroom, looking through a stack of papers. Pam noticed his small smirk, that look of doubt she had seen many times before. It was the kind of look given to lawyers who were thought to be either too young or too ambitious. Pam was neither, but she knew exactly how the judge saw her. Across from Pam sat Charles Merritt, a lawyer in his 50s wearing an expensive suit with a silk tie. He had built his career on reputation and connections, rather than hard work. Merritt barely glanced at Pam, already sure he would win. When the jury entered the courtroom, Pam studied their faces carefully. She didn't just see random people. She saw their stories, their biases, their hopes and doubts. Judge Calloway's tone was dismissive when he spoke to Pam. "Miss Bondi, I trust you are ready to proceed?" When she nodded, he muttered under his breath, just loud enough for the microphone to catch, "Well, let's hope this doesn't turn into a circus." Some jury members exchanged looks, and Merritt smiled again. But Pam stayed calm. This wasn't her first time being underestimated, and it certainly wouldn't be her last. When Pam stood to address the court about accountability, Judge Calloway raised his hand to stop her. "Miss Bondi, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're here for a preliminary motion, not a grandstanding performance." A few people in the courtroom chuckled. Merritt leaned back in his chair, adjusting his cuffs with a smirk. He had helped many wealthy corporations make problems disappear before, using technical language and well-placed favors. The judge asked to hear from the defense first. Merritt rose with an easy grin, speaking with practiced confidence. "Your Honor, this entire case is built on emotion rather than fact. My client, a respected financial institution, has followed all regulatory guidelines. If some individuals felt misled, that is unfortunate but hardly illegal." He went on to claim that Pam was just trying to punish a successful company because they don't like how business works. Judge Calloway seemed to agree with Merritt. Looking at Pam, he chuckled and asked, "Miss Bondi, are we really going to waste the court's time over a misunderstanding?" The remark stung, but Pam didn't show it. Instead, she let a silence fill the room, making everyone wait for her response. With calm determination, Pam picked up a document from her file and walked toward the judge. "No misunderstanding, Your Honor," she said, placing the document before him. "Just evidence." As Judge Calloway read the paper, his smirk began to fade. Turning to face the jury, Pam explained that what Merritt called a misunderstanding was actually a deliberate strategy to trick customers into signing contracts they couldn't understand. "And I have the proof," she said, gesturing toward a stack of files on her desk. The atmosphere in the room shifted. For the first time, Judge Calloway's expression hardened into something like recognition. Pam didn't rush her words. She waited, letting everyone absorb what was happening. Judge Calloway asked Merritt if he had an explanation, and for a moment, Merritt's confidence faltered. He straightened his tie, forced a laugh, and tried to dismiss Pam's evidence as just one document. But Pam was already reaching for more evidence. "Not just one," she said, pulling out a stack of papers covered in highlighted sections. "I have over 50 contracts here, each with nearly identical language misleading customers into thinking they were signing up for low-risk investments when, in fact, they were agreeing to terms that would leave them financially ruined." Before Merritt could object, Pam showed the jury specific sections of the contracts. She explained how vague language about projected market trends let the company raise rates however they wanted. She pointed out how administrative penalties for early withdrawal could exceed the customer's entire investment. Most shocking of all, she revealed that customer funds were never invested in markets as promised, but instead used for high-risk ventures that only benefited company executives. "This isn't business," Pam declared firmly. "This is theft." The courtroom fell completely silent. Judge Calloway no longer looked amused, but leaned forward with his hands clasped, completely focused on Pam's words. Pam continued, "I'm happy to debate legal definitions of fraud all day long, But what I cannot allow is for my clients to be dismissed as people who simply misunderstood what they were signing. The only misunderstanding here is the belief that this company thought it could get away with this forever. When Merritt tried to dismiss the case, Pam interrupted with her strongest evidence yet, an internal memo from a whistleblower. The document showed that company executives knew about their fraudulent practices for over 5 years and had instructed employees to delay disclosures for as long as legally possible. The jury's faces showed disgust, shock, and anger as they learned the truth. Merritt tried to question the memo's authenticity, but Pam was prepared. She produced email chains that confirmed the memo was real, complete with dates and timestamps from the company's own servers. When Merritt objected again, Judge Calloway sharply overruled him. "Do you have an actual legal argument?" the judge asked, "or are you just here to waste my time?" For once, Merritt had no clever response. Pam addressed the jury again, explaining how the company had hidden behind fine print and vague wording for years. They banked on confusion, on intimidation, and most of all on doubt, she said. But today that doubt is gone, because now we have proof. Proof that they knew what they were doing. Proof that their intent was never honest business, but deception. Pam warned that if the court allowed the company to walk away, it would tell every corporation in America they could do the same thing, and the legal system would look the other way. The jury seemed moved by her words. Even a woman who had remained expressionless throughout the hearing was now nodding in agreement. Judge Calloway asked Merritt if he had any response to the evidence. Merritt hesitated, realizing his usual tricks and charm wouldn't work now. Everyone could see through him. The jury, the people watching, even the court reporters had stopped typing, waiting for his answer. Finally, Merritt sat down and mumbled, "No, Your Honor." Judge Calloway studied Merritt for a moment before turning to Pam. His expression wasn't quite admiration, but it was close. "Proceed, Miss Bondi," he said. The courtroom was no longer laughing at her. Pam took a deep breath. She had spent years facing people like Merritt and corporations that thought their money could buy them immunity from justice. But now she had control of the story, and she wasn't going to waste it. She turned to the jury and asked them to remember what was really at stake. She pointed to the back of the courtroom where her clients sat. Ordinary people, many of them older, with worried faces. "These are not just numbers on a spreadsheet," she said. "They are retirees who lost their life savings. Parents who took second jobs just to keep their homes. Small business owners who trusted a system that was designed to work against them." A woman in her 60s wearing a faded blue cardigan stepped forward and asked in a quiet voice, "Does this mean we have a chance?" Pam met her gaze and, for the first time that day, allowed herself a small smile. "Yes," she said simply, "you do." The woman pressed a hand to her mouth, her eyes filling with tears of relief. Other clients nodded their thanks, some too overwhelmed to speak. Behind Pam, Charles Merritt hurried from the courthouse, his confidence gone. He avoided looking at Pam as he pulled out his phone and walked quickly to a waiting black car. Pam knew his clients were already calling, panicking, preparing for damage control. Judge Calloway's ruling didn't guarantee victory, but it sent a clear message. People were watching now. The powerful weren't invincible, and no amount of legal trickery could hide the truth forever. Pam turned back to her clients. "This isn't over," she told them. "Not yet. But today you made them listen, and that's where real change starts." The woman in the cardigan briefly squeezed Pam's hand before stepping back. Looking at the courthouse one last time, Pam exhaled, already thinking about the work ahead. Justice wasn't about winning one battle. It was about never letting the fight be forgotten. And that was a battle Pam Bondi had no intention of losing.